Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Minnesota.
After shivering through the opening 3 weeks of the season, warmer weather is finally on its way just in time for the Twins' 4-game series with the Texas Rangers starting tonight at Target Field. The Twins' pitching is one of the primary reasons for the club's strong start. Tonight, Vance Worley will try to follow up his best outing of the season with another quality start. Nick Tepesh of the Rangers try to recover from being hit on the arm in his last start. Joe Mauer off to a torrid start of the plate for the Twins, hitting .366, ninth highest average in the American League for a Twins team, off to a much improved start compared to last April. Texas is a team in transition. The Rangers roster has undergone significant change with the loss of Josh Hamilton, Michael Young, and Mike Napoli. A tough test ahead for the Minnesota Twins, first of 4 starting tonight against a Texas team that leads the American League West. Despite that loss of power in their lineup, it really hasn't had an effect. At 14-7, Rangers tied with Boston for the best record in the American League. Texas has scored 100 runs already this season, third most in the American League. Texas traditionally has had plenty of power at the plate, and this season has not been different. 26 home runs so far, second most in the American League. And while the Ranger bats have been booming, their pitching has been equally impressive. Yu Darvish and the Texas staff own the lowest ERA in the American League. It all adds up to a solid start. This could be the toughest test of the young season for the Minnesota Twins. Up next, Dick and Bert discuss the success of the Twins role players. First of 4 from Target Field, Minnesota meets the Rangers right here on Fox Sports North.
Fox Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. And by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. Tonight, the Twins and Rangers open up a 4-game series, having just had a 5-game winning streak ended. During that 5-game winning streak, Brian Dozier, one of the better hitters for the Twins, Oswaldo Arcia, had a big ball game, a big 3-run home run in the middle of that 5-game winning streak. Even Pedro Floromon's had some key hits along the way, as the Twins and Eduardo Escobar both getting some big hits for the Twins here in the early going. Dick and Bert with you for the opening game of this 4-game series. And when the Twins have played well, hasn't been so much the Mauers, the Mornos, the Willinghams. It's been some offense from some unexpected sources.
Yeah, Tim Laudner talked about that in the pregame about, it's a long season. A lot of things happen. 162 ball games. You need other guys to step up. Brian Dozier, we've seen some great defense, but he's done a great job as that leadoff hitter over the last 4 ball games he has played in. So Brian Dozier accepting the role not only as a leadoff hitter, but also taking it out on the field, playing very good defensive baseball. Oswaldo Arcia, this kid is young, 21 years old. He's a great hitter from the minor leagues. He has to play because you don't play him, he's going to have to sit. 18 at-bats so far at the major league level. Got his first major league hit, also that big 3-run home run where the Twins ended up winning that ball game 4-3. So these guys are the role players because the other guys are going to hit.
Vance Worley hoping to make it back-to-back really good starts for the Twins in Game 1 with the Texas Rangers. Vance Worley and the Twins taking the field against a very good Texas Ranger ball club, a first-place team in their division, the American League West. And for Ron Washington and the Rangers, they're in familiar territory on top of now a 5-team division. And the Rangers 14-7. They're the only team in baseball, Bert, that has not lost back-to-back games yet this year.
I tell you what, Ron Washington took over 7 years ago, and he's really helped change this organization mindset. And he has the players believing in what he wants accomplished.
They've changed some of the players on the roster, but they're still very good. Let's check out their batting order. Brought to you by Menards. Ian Kinsler leading off. Elvis Andrus playing short, batting second. Lance Berkman, in essence, on this roster in place of Josh Hamilton, Adrian Beltre, A.J. Pierzynski, the new catcher for the Rangers, Nelson Cruz, David Murphy, Mitch Moreland, and Leonis Martin.
And it'll be Vance Worley on the mound for Vance. He's making his 5th start of the year, his first career start against the Texas Ranger organization. Still looking for his first win, and he pitched a great ball game in his last outing in Chicago last Saturday against his mound opponent, Jake Peavy. That game went 10 innings. The Twins ended up winning 2-1. First batter of the ball game in the bottom of the first inning, Diaza hit a home run off of it. That was it. Worley shut the door after that.
Northland Ford defense for the Minnesota Twins. Josh Willingham in left, Aaron Hicks in center, Chris Parmalee in right. Trevor Plouffe, Pedro Florimon left side of the infield, Brian Dozier, Justin Morneau on the right side, Joe Mauer behind the plate. Dan Bellino behind the plate. Everybody in the umpiring crew will get a chance behind the plate because this is a 4-game series. Cool tonight, but mostly clear skies, and the weather conditions are only going to get better.
Hey, guess what? Some of the players might even sweat in this weather.
Worley getting ready to get this thing started. There's the first pitch off the plate, ball 1.
One thing Worley talked about in that outing against Chicago is he is happy with the location of his stuff on both sides of the plate. Not just inside, but both sides of the plate.
And an off-speed pitch hits the corner, 1-1.
Kinsler in his 8th season with the Rangers, 3-time All-Star for the Texas Rangers.
And now 2-1.
He's one of these guys, Dick, you make a mistake, you know. I mean, he's got 5 home runs already. He's kind of a guy that sometimes would hit, you know, maybe 3rd in a lineup or 4th or 5th, but Ron Washington has him leading off.
Snap bat, and Plouffe won't be able to get there. The barrel of the bat ended up almost chasing Plouffe down the baseline.
Let's take a look at Vance Worley on Saturday. Again, he made that one changeup, but other than that, he gave the home run up. He was hitting his spots. A couple walks in that outing, 7 strikeouts. That's a season high for Vance Worley.
The Rangers have an odd mix, even with Hamilton gone, Michael Young gone, Mike Napoli gone, 2-2, and a bouncer to the right side. Easy play for Dozier. The Rangers can still mash. They're 2nd in the league in home runs, but they have the fewest strikeouts in the American League. How in the world do you accomplish the first and still accomplish the second?
Yeah, only the New York Yankees have more home runs than the Texas Rangers. Yankees with 28, Rangers with 26. Good contact hitting ball club. You know, the Twins are very good at that too. They don't strike out a lot, try to put the ball in play.
1 down, and here's Elvis Andrus. Doesn't hit for much power, but he has really increased his extra base power. A few years ago, he hit just 18 extra base hits. Last year, he had 43 extra base hits.
Guy want to keep off the bases. Good speed. He can steal some bases.
Down low, 1-1.
He's one of the guys that don't have the power that some of the other guys in the lineup do. 3 home runs last year in 158 games, but he hit 286. Got on base, scored a lot of runs.
Foul tip. Mauer hangs on, 1-2.
Worley making his 51st major league start. And looking for his first win as a Minnesota Twin.
One and two. And a bouncer, foul ball just wide of the bag.
A lot of all-stars in their lineup. Andrus he's made 2 all-star teams, 2010 and last year.
Worley working ahead, and now 2-2. Andrus has had the benefit, I think, of having, for him at least, the perfect manager in Ron Washington. Wash, who was principally a shortstop in his playing days, principally with the Twins. He's really taken this then young man and chided him at times, encouraged him at times, and that Elvis Andrus is considered to be one of the better shortstops in the game right now. I think a lot of that credit is due Ron Washington. Full count now. Bouncer to third. Tough chance for Plouffe. Nice backhanded play, but he's got to hurry his throw. Got him just barely. Plouffe almost took a little bit too much time after making a nice backhanded stab. 2 down.
Well, one thing Trevor Plouffe has, he has that outfield type of arm. He has a backhand this play to his right and then sets and makes a good throw, a bang play, the second out at first base.
Well, just barely got him. You see the value of a stretch there too. Ron Washington coming out to have a discussion with Ted Barrett. Had a chance to visit with Kent Hrbek before the game today, and Herbie was great doing the butterfly stretch, at least earlier in his career. But first baseman can really save a lot of base hits and a lot of runs just by extending himself as far as he can go.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great extension right there by Justin. When Herbie did that, we didn't know if he would get back up.
2 down, and here's Lance Berkman. Worley has a Twin 4 prior starts, and in all 4 of his starts, he's given up at least 1 first inning run. So here he is, 2 outs, bases empty, hoping to pitch his first scoreless first inning. Looks like he's done it. 3 ground ball outs and a quick 1-2-3 first inning. Top of the first inning, Ron Gardenhire and the Twins getting a day off yesterday. A scheduled day off. There's no problem with days off. There have been too many of them, in fact, with all the postponements. Here's the Menards batting order for the Twins. Brian Dozier, followed by Joe Mauer, Jock Willingham, Justin Morneau, Chris Parmelee, Trevor Plouffe. Oswaldo Arcia is the designated hitter. Chris Parmelee's in right field. Aaron Hicks in center and Pedro Florimon at short. Twins would love to have 2 guys out there in right field, but the law doesn't allow that.
No, baseball doesn't allow that. Nick Tempest making his 4th major league start, of course, his first against the Minnesota Twins, and 7 pitches or 7 hitters into his last start against the Seattle Mariners. Jose Montero hit a line drive right back at him, ended up hitting him on that right wrist. He ended up having to leave the ball game.
That's grounded and almost spun back fair. A foul ball, 2 strikes. Northland Ford defense for the Rangers. David Murphy is in left. Leonis Martin in center. Nelson Cruz in right. Beltre, Andrus, Kinsler, and Moreland the infielders. And A.J. Pierzynski now in his fourth team. First year with the Rangers. Inside 1 and 2. Don't know a whole lot about Tepesh. We were told he works quickly, and we were told correctly.
Yeah, Tepesh, 24 years old. Last year, single A, double A. That's where he pitched. And then this year started in the minor leagues and then got the call up to the Rangers, making just his fourth major league start. Scouting report, fastball, low 90s, slider, cutter, very good changeup.
Product of the University of Missouri. Outside. Oh,
Wow.
and Bellino called the corner on Brian Dozier, 1 away.
Tepesh picking up his first strikeout. He came into the game in 15 innings pitched. That's his 14th strikeout. AJ framing it right there, holding it for a second.
That was significantly outside.
That was right there.
One down, here's Joe Mauer. Mauer right now at 366, second in the American League in batting to Torrey Hunter, who went 2 for 4 in Detroit's loss today. And Torrey at 373. 1 and 1.
Well, Joe has really enjoyed hitting here at Target Field this year. 17 hits in 37 at bats. He's hitting .459 here at home.
Pitch up, fouled it straight back, 1 and 2. Tepesh presumably got a good night's sleep. His teammates did not. The Rangers flew him in here yesterday. The rest of the team got here about 6 in the morning after playing a night game in Anaheim last night. 2 and 2. The Angels have done that to everybody, including the Twins. They are reluctant to schedule day games on getaway days. So the Rangers a little short of sleep tonight. Lifted. It's a foul ball, I think, down the line, and a long run from Murphy, who slides and comes up a little bit short.
Let's take a look at Tepesh in his last start. This against the Seattle Mariners in the second inning. Montero hitting a ball right back at that right hand. You see the arm come up and ended up right there, right above the wrist area. He wanted to stay in the game, they said, but better heads prevailed and he came out.
2 and 2 to Mauer to left field, and it's hanging in the air for Murphy. 2 away. Yeah, he's had his bullpen sessions without incident. Got obviously medical clearance to come back out here today and make his 4th major league start.
Well, it looked like that ball hit pretty solid too, because it was going up the middle and ended up between first and second. It wasn't like, you know, that it just glanced off him. It looked like it hit him pretty solid.
Here's Josh Willingham back in left field, back in the lineup. Ball 1. Young man throws strikes. He walked 3 of the first 8 batters he faced and hasn't walked anybody since over his last 56 plate appearances. Popped up. And caught by first baseman Mitch Moreland, who reached into the photographer's area to retire Willingham. And the Twins go down 1-2-3.
very special night for both Fox Sports North and the Minnesota Twins as we are celebrating the Boys and Girls Club All-Stars tonight from across the Twin Cities. It's part of Fox Sports North's ongoing support of clubs across the metro area, and lots of kids out here enjoying the game tonight. There are 75 boys and girls who got the designation of All-Star by really shining in 3 different categories, demonstrating academic success, good character and leadership, and a healthy lifestyle. So Fox Sports North and the Minnesota Twins are proud to celebrate the 75 All-Stars here tonight by treating them to this ball game, guys.
Very nice. Thank you, Jamie, very much. And welcome to all the boys and girls from the Boys and Girls Club. Dick, you ever been involved in the Boys and Girls Club?
I've emceed, in fact, this event. I've emceed it a couple of times early in the season.
But as a youngster, did you?
Oh, no, not in the outstate area. Unfortunately, we didn't have any Boys and Girls Clubs available to us.
Right. I grew up in Southern California. I was part of a Boys and Girls Club in Garden Grove, California. Kept me out of trouble.
They should have a men's club then, an extension of that to continue to get you out of trouble. High and tight to Beltray, 2-1. It'll be Beltray, Pierzynski, and Cruz. Worley had a 1-2-3, a scoreless first inning.
And 3 ground ball outs. You know, in Worley's first start, he was opening day starter for the Twins. He had 13 ground ball outs in his 6 innings of work against the Tigers. That pitch looked pretty good right there. Dozier gets rung up. Maybe Beltray should have been rung up.
Called a strike, 2-2, and now a drive to left center field. Hicks chasing it, hoping for a bounce, and he plays the carom, and it's a double for Beltray. So Beltray had a wonderful series against the Twins last year in Arlington. Rangers won 8 of the 10 games, and he starts the second inning with a very loud double.
Yeah, Beltray, a veteran of 16 major league seasons, likes to extend those arms. That's exactly what he got right there, is a fastball down and hit the base of the fence. The carom comes back to Hicks, but it's a double, a leadoff double for Beltray, his 5th double of the year.
Here is A.J. Pierzynski. It didn't feel right playing the White Sox without Pierzynski in their lineup. And similarly, it doesn't seem right to have him hitting in the middle of the Texas Ranger lineup.
A.J. signing a 1-year contract with the Rangers over the winter.
1-0 to Pierzynski. Foul back.
Just seems like a long time ago that he caught for the Twins, doesn't it? 2003 was his last year.
When he caught for the Twins, Joe Mauer obviously was not catching for the Twins. That's how long ago it was. Was traded to the Giants. The Twins ended up getting, among others, Joe Nathan, and now Nathan and Pierzynski are battery mates.
Right.
1-2.
Well, he's always been a good hitter. I always thought he was a pretty good receiver, a good handler of a pitching staff, a career .284 hitter coming into this season. His 16th major league season.
Really tough 2-strike hitter. That's what he's got now, 1-2. 2-2.
Now you're looking at it. We just showed you the 2 guys that aren't afraid to go, you know, and hit with 2 strikes. Pierzynski and Joe Mauer.
Foul back. The first 2-strike foul. There might be many more. Worley looking for his first win in the American League for his new ball club. And it's 3-2 with Nelson Cruz on deck. Sliced foul, the second 2-strike foul.
Well, it looked like the changeup right there at 81 pulled the string, and AJ fouled it off. Took a little off. Not a bad pitch, but AJ keeps the bat alive.
Another 3-2 coming. Snap bat, and Worley will run it halfway. On the play, Beltre goes to third. Well, Worley's shattered a couple of bats here in the early going. Tonight's Cold Hard Fact brought to you by Frost Brew Coors Light.
Well, one thing the Rangers can do, and that's hit the long ball. Right now, the most consistent consecutive games with a home run to Tampa Bay Rays, but the Rangers right behind them, along with the Astros.
Cruz hit a big one last night, a 3-run home run in a 9-run fourth inning. And he hit the home run in cracking his bat. Hit a home run to left center in Anaheim and discovered that in doing so he cracked his bat. This one driven to right. Parmelee going back. They'll play to Karam, and Cruz trying for two. Parmelee's throw on the money, and he is out. A strike from Parmelee playing to Karam. Beltre scores. But a beautiful throw from Chris Parmelee.
Boy, you're right, Dick. He did play that Karam perfectly. Cruz took that pitch the other way, and you see the power that Cruz can generate. Watch this pitch. Outer half of the plate, just takes it the other way. Parmelee knows it's over his head. He's got to play the Karam. And then a perfect throw to Florimone, who makes a quick tag for the second out. But on the play, Cruz picking up an RBI, his 18th of the year. And the Rangers take a 1-0 lead.
The Rangers playing a little paddle ball with the wall here. Beltre with a leadoff double. Cruz driving one hard against the wall in right field. And here's David Murphy. A strike, 1-1. Murphy off to a slow start. Kind of a breakthrough year last year, at least against left-handed pitching. 2-1. For the first time in his major league career, he really handled left-handers well.
Yeah, he ended up hitting .304 last year, played in 147 games for the Rangers, hit 15 home runs.
2-1. And clipping the corner to even the count. Foul back. Worley with pretty good control. It's not the walks that have given him trouble this year. It's a high number of hits. Now 32 hits in 20 2/3 innings. Change up, and it's lifted foul over the Texas dugout. Just one home run allowed.
Yeah, the whole staff has done a good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark. Twin starters in the first 17 games have allowed only 6 home runs.
And Worley thought that might have been strike 3. Instead it's ball 3.
Not missing by much. A couple pitches. That pitch to Beltre looked like it's pretty good. This one close. We'll get a better look at it. Be a little outside.
And he missed outside to walk him. So the 7th walk issued by Worley this year, and that'll bring up Mitch Moreland. Moreland off to a slow start.
Slow start, but you can see the home runs. Murphy had a couple. Moreland with 3. They found that channel in Arlington.
There's a strike on the outside corner. They found one we didn't know existed in Anaheim. Teeing off on the Angels pitching staff. 1 strike for the Ranger first baseman, and now outside. And the pitch is starting to mount for Worley.
Yeah, only 14 pitches needed in that first inning, but right now 35 total. Excuse me, 39 total.
Trying to get the Twins off the field here, down just a run. Foul back, and it's 1-2. It says something, doesn't it, at this point? Rangers have now played 21 games. They haven't lost back-to-back games yet. They lost a walk-off home run by Kendrick the other night, came back last night, and just thumped the Angels with that 9-run 4th inning.
Well, their pitching staff is the best in the American League. Starter and relievers combined a 2.85 ERA. Only the Braves have a better combined ERA as a staff. And the Braves, like the Rangers, off to a great start. 15-6 coming into today's play.
4-game series, and the Twins catch a bit of a break. They won't have to face Yu Darvish, who looks like he might be on his way to a Cy Young season. Ooh, a liner up the middle. Florimon with a nice pickup, and safe at second. Florimon flipped to Dozier, who was playing the left-handed hitter over in the hole, and he had a hard time getting to second base in time and did not get there in time.
Florimon, made a great play right here up the middle. That ball almost got a piece of Worley going back up the middle, right behind him.
Ooh.
And then Florimon dove for it. May have had chance to get up and get the out at first, but instead tried to flip it to Dozier, who tried to hustle over there. You see where Dozier's playing. And Murphy, with his speed, ends up being safe at second.
So the inning continues. 3 hits in the inning, and now Leonis Martin. Martin and Craig Gentry platooning out in center field. Fastball sails down and away, ball 1.
Martin getting a chance to play here with the Rangers, his 3rd season with the Rangers. From Cuba, signed with the Rangers as a free agent back in 2011.
And missing again, 2-0. So this long second inning getting very long now for Worley. Fouled away, 2-1. In his last start against the White Sox, Worley had some innings where he was back in the dugout almost as soon as he got out on the mound. Some quick innings, but that has not been the case here in the second. Still right now just a 1-0 ball game. 2-1. Left to pitch up, and Martin with a big swing.
That first inning he got 3 ground ball outs because he had that little bit of a sinker working. So far this inning, everything has been up in the strike zone. Beltre got that fastball about thigh high, hit for the double. Cruz took the high fastball off the wall in right field.
Two and two. Off the handle of the bat foul. You have to be impressed with the Rangers because they do turn their roster over and still year in year out have a competitive pitching staff and a run producing lineup. Hooper foul, and the number 9 batter wasting some pitches.
One thing I think we've seen from the starting staff, Dick, for the Twins is that there is not a strikeout pitcher in the rotation. Someone that's going to strike out, maybe 10 guys in a ball game. Worley did strike out 7 in his last outing. I believe 3 of those came against Adam Dunn.
Correa And Worley leading the team with 13 strikeouts, but in Correa's case, it's 13 strikeouts in 28 and a third innings. There's Correa. The impressive number that I just gave you, the 28 and a third innings over 4 starts, over 7 innings per start. Another 2-2 and a little number. And that ball fielded foul. Plouffe waiting smartly for the ball to roll foul. He would not have had a play at any base. So the inning marches on. 49th pitch coming up, and Worley with a roll of his eyes. Been out there a long time here in the second inning.
Yeah, you just want the hitter to hit it at somebody. This will be pitch number 49. Boy, you want to stay away from these big innings like this as far as the pitch count, because that eliminates your availability to go deep into the ball game.
Another 2-2 to Martin. Another foul ball. The ability, or in this case the inability, to miss a bat.
Well, everything's been up. You know, he's got to work that sinker down, and hopefully they can hit it at somebody. That high fastball, like we've seen before, that one, you know, you can foul off.
Dug out by Mauer. Now it's a full count.
Tried the slider right there. Good stop by Joe. So the runners on this pitch will get a head start.
Ian Kinsler on deck. Three-two to Martin. A high fly to short right field. In fact, the second baseman Dozier squeezes it to end a very long inning, but the Rangers get just one run out of it, and Justin Morneau will lead off the Twins second. And it's 1-0 Texas, and Justin Morneau will lead off the Twins second.
Yeah, even though he threw a lot of pitches, 37 in that inning, the Rangers were only able to score 1 run. So see if Justin can tie it up with one swing.
Takes a ball, then he takes a strike. 16 hits for Morneau, 5 extra base hits, 4 doubles and the home run. That's off the end of the bat. And Murphy makes a running catch. And Morneau's retired, 1 away. That'll bring up Parmalee. Get interactive with us during the broadcast with our AT&T Twitter poll. The question for the week: who will lead the Twins this season in runs batted in? Tweet your answer using the following hashtags: RBI Willingham, RBI Morneau, RBI Bauer. We'll give you the final results on Sunday when this series comes to a close. One down, and here's Chris Parmelee. Just outside, ball one. Fouled away. Plate umpire Dan Bellino fires the ball back to Tepesh, and he's just about ready to look in, ready to go.
Well, your defense appreciates that too. When you look for that sign from AJ and you're set to go.
Just think what it would mean if he were to have say a 12-pitch inning here after Worley threw so many pitches and he had to go right back out there so quickly. 2-1 to Parmelee. Pulled on the ground, backhanded nicely by Moreland. Out number 2 on just a handful of pitches here in the second. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week. 3 great matchup as the NL East leading Braves take on the Tigers, or the Phillies battle the Mets, or the Reds Nationals. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Chevrolet returning this week. 11:30 Central. The Tigers in extra innings lost to the Royals 8-3 this afternoon at Comerica Park in 10 innings. Alex Gordon with a grand slam. And Plouffe pops it up. And Moreland has a chance. What was that, 7 pitches worth? Tepesh comes off the mound, and back to the hill goes Vance Worley. Presented by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. 1-0, the Rangers in front. Couple of great giveaways later this weekend here at Target Field. On Saturday, the first 10,000 fans get this year's cowboy hat presented by WeFest. Then Sunday, the first 5,000 kids 14 and under will get their own Josh Willingham Silver Slugger bat presented by Sports Authority.
Very nice.
Check out the other promotions throughout the season at twinsbaseball.com. Strike one. Kinsler hit a ground ball to Dozier back in the first inning. Worley had a scoreless first inning and then was out on the mound a long time. A base hit to left to start the third inning. And so Kinsler's aboard with a leadoff hit. You can be part of our broadcast. Vote for who you think's the Arby's value player of the game. Text value, a space, and the player's last name to 234-234. Let us know who you think had the most value in today's game, and we'll tell you the winner in our postgame show. Here's Elvis Andrus. Hit a two-hopper to the backhand side of Trevor Plouffe. Turned in a nice play and got Andrus by a whisker at first base. You know, a lot of people thought that the Rangers would lose a lot by not re-signing Josh Hamilton, trading Michael Young. Mike Napoli signing with the Boston Red Sox. And yet here they are leading their division. The Angels seem to be in some state of turmoil right now. The A's surprised everybody last year. If they get into the postseason this year, won't be a surprise. But this Ranger team proving to be really resilient.
Well, they got a lot of guys in their lineup, almost like the Yankees when they're healthy. They play every day. They don't miss too many ball games. You know, Andres is going to play 155 to 162 ball games. Beltre at third, same thing. Kinsler. These guys, you know, they're out there. Yeah, AJ. So they go out and you lose a Hamilton, but then you look at the free market and then there's an AJ Pierzynski. There's a Berkman. Guys that have great careers coming into Texas. Pitch out right there, but Kinsler staying at first base.
Some thought, at least in terms of leadership, that there'd be a void, especially with Michael Young, who meant so much to that franchise. And Kinsler said the other day, you know what, we've got leaders in this clubhouse. We said pretty much what Michael Kadire said when Torrey Hunter left here. Busted bat into the seats. Remember, people thought, well, Johan Santana's gone, Torrey Hunter's gone, there's going to be a huge void. And Michael Kadire, remember, was almost insulted that question would even be raised. Leadership is, I mean, people ascend to that. If a leader leaves a ball club, other people should be ready to fill the void.
To step up, yeah. I mean, Josh Hamilton, of course, with the Angels. You know, Michael Young, he went over to the Phillies. He's having a, Michael Young type year for the Phillies, hitting very well. And Napoli, now with the Boston Red Sox, he came into this today leading the American League in RBI. So, yeah, you miss those guys, but other guys have to step up.
2-2. Rangers with 4 hits, and I think Worley's got 4 cracked bats for whatever that's worth. Might be 2. Dozier to Florimon. Not quite in time. Dozier had kind of an awkward catch and relay over to Florimon.
Yeah, he almost threw him a changeup right there. But over the winter, of course, Hamilton signing the big contract with the Angels. Michael Young getting traded over to the Phillies. So that allows, Michael Young was basically the designated hitter. Napoli, two very good years with the Rangers, but now he's with the Boston Red Sox. They go out and sign, as we talked about, AJ Pierzynski, Lance Berkman, a switch hitter, power from both sides of the plate. He's off to a very good start.
As long as he remains healthy. He's had some knee issues. Some thought that Berkman might not play tonight because his knees apparently act up in cooler weather.
Well, he's had 4 surgeries on that right knee. The last one coming last year in May. Guy's a good hitter, a .296 career hitter with power.
And with a great eye. And has a reputation of such. I think Worley thought he might have hit the corner on that pitch.
362 career home runs for Berkman.
There's the corner.
Berkman's career at the major league level started with the Astros back in 1999. Spent 1 season with the Yankees when he got traded over there, and then with the Cardinals for a couple years.
And the corner called again, 1-2. Berkman looks back at Dan Bellino. Coming into the year, Berkman 6,235 at bats, 1,163 walks. is flushed back to the bag.
There's numbers right there. A lot of RBIs in his career.
Another busted bat. One. Safe at first again. Bergman doesn't run very well at all, but he just barely beat that one out.
Well, it looked like Ted Barrett was ready to put that right hand up, and at the last second he went safe. That ball not hit very sharply, almost got jammed right there. Ground ball to Dozier, the backhanded flip. And Berkman, with those bad knees and all, able to stay out of the double play.
Here is Beltre. Cracked a double off the fence in left center field to lead off the second, and then later scored the only run of the game, ball one. I know he's given up a lot of hits, but when you see a pitcher like Worley, who cracked a lot of bats in Chicago in his last start, and he's gotten 4 or 5 already here in this game. Bouncer to short, and Florimon goes to Dozier. We'll pick up that thought another time. A scoreless third, 1-0 Texas.
Well, Oswaldo Arcia is in the lineup for the 6th straight game tonight and his 3rd time as a designated hitter. When I asked Gardy about that, he said, well, I didn't bring Arcia up here to have him sit on the bench. I want to see him swinging. He said he wants to keep moving guys around, rotating the lineup. He wants to get this kid some swings and see what he can do. Dick and Bert.
Well, thank you very much, Jamie. Arcia will get things started for the Twins in the 3rd inning in the DH spot at the expense tonight of Ryan Doman. And Arcia lifts it foul. Strike one.
Well, I think we've mentioned before, Dick, here you got a young kid from Venezuela. He's been with the Twins for 5 seasons, put up great numbers in the minor leagues, but you bring him up, last thing you want to do is set him on the bench.
Ouch. Jam shot fielded by Beltre. One away. So 7 up, 7 down for Nick Tepish, who threw only 21 pitches over a span of 11 days because of the line drive that hit him in the wrist. Obviously, no rust. He has not given the Twins much at all here through 2 1/3 innings. A college teammate for a year of Twins prospect Kyle Gibson. Aaron Hicks, the batter for the Twins.
He pitched very well in his first major league debut, that against the Tampa Bay Rays. He ended up winning his first major league game. 7 1/3 innings, gave up only 1 run to the Rays.
Strike one to Hicks. Hicks and Jackie Bradley Jr. were the stories in Fort Myers. Young outfielders making an impression in March, making their respective ball clubs. Called strike 1 and 2. Jackie Bradley Jr. was sent down a week or so ago by the Red Sox. And Hicks, of course, about that time moved down from the leadoff spot to the 8th spot in the batting order.
Last 6 games for Hicks, he's been able to get on base, and 8 times via the walk.
2 and 2. In essence, Tepesh making the jump from Double-A because that's where he pitched at the end of last year, and Hicks trying to make that jump as a position play. Checked his swing just off the corner. It's full count. Tepesh did make a start at Triple-A, but that was only the first week of the season when the Rangers did not need a 5th starter. They sent him to Round Rock to make a start so he'd be ready for his major league debut. Hicks taps it foul.
Well, they have a couple of good starters on a disabled list. Kobe Lewis, one of those starters. Matt Harrison just put on a disabled list about 10 days ago. Ended up having surgery, herniated disc, so he will be missed. So there's a chance for these young kids to come up and hopefully pitch consistently for Ron Washington.
A little bouncer up the line, and it'll stay foul. So Hicks having a long at bat here against Tepesh. When you join the Twins season ticket family this year, you'll be hitting the sweet spot. Purchase any of the Twins season ticket packages and receive 10% off food, beverage, and merchandise bought at Target Field. Call 800-33-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com to check out the options and learn about the cool benefits that come along with Twins season tickets. See if Hicks can get a payoff after a long battle here with Nick Tepesh. And a little number in front of Beltre, fielded by Tepesh. Fires low, dug out by Moreland, 2 away. Well, I tell you, you pull a ball away from a Gold Glover like Adrian Beltre, you better make that play.
Yeah, I don't even know if Beltre could have been able to get to that ball. Really, the only one was the pitcher, Tepesh, as he jumped off that mound, had to go far to his right, and then field it, and then all in one motion have to get it over to first. That ball takes one more hop. You know, Hicks probably beats it out, but Tepesh cuts in front, and even though the throw was low, Moreland dug it out for the second out.
Pedro Florimon will hit. Still looking for the first base runner. Down the middle with a fastball.
Twins have to be very happy, Dick, at the performance of the shortstop so far this year. You know, you look at the shortstops, what they combined, a .373 batting average, been able to get on base, good slugging percentage, driving in some runs.
Showing bunt, 2-1. Florimon with 3 early errors in the bitter cold. Escobar's yet to commit an error. 2-1. And now 2-2. Tepesh from Blue Springs, Missouri, just outside of Kansas City. Fouled back by Florimon.
Signed by the Rangers in 2010, the 14th round draft pick. Made the jump very quickly to the major leagues.
Slow breaking ball wrapped around the plate. That's a full count to Florimon. Dozier on deck.
Tepesh with 50 minor league starts, 19 wins, 11 losses, good earned run average at 3.7. Now pitching into big leagues.
It's deep to the left field corner, chased by Murphy. And he makes a foul ball catch to end the inning. A perfect first trip through the batting order for rookie Nick Tepesh. Fox Sports Supports is proud to partner with Stomp Out Bullying, the leading national anti-bullying organization for kids and teens in the U.S. Stomp Out Bullying focuses on preventing bullying and all forms of digital abuse. It educates against racism and hatred, deters violence in schools and online, and helps at-risk students to learn how you can help. Please visit stompoutbullying.org. A.J. Pierzynski busted his bat and hit a little bouncer to Worley. First out of the second inning.
Yeah, the 9 outs that Worley's been able to get, 7 have come on ground ball outs. Just he had that long second inning where he threw 37 pitches and gave up the 1 run.
One and one to Pierzynski. Slow breaking ball and a grounder to Florimone. 1 down. Sanford Health injury report. Rockies off to a good start, but now they're going to be without Todd Helton for a while.
That's one bat that you don't want to take out of a lineup right now. The Rockies off to a very good start, just like the Rangers. They are 14-7 coming into today's play.
9-3 at home for the Rockies. Here's Nelson Cruz.
Because they like playing in snow better than their opponents.
Twins 5-4 at home, 4-4 on the road. They'd like to have a good series here against the Rangers. Check swing, and it's 1-1. Cruz singled in the lone run of the game by driving one hard against the fence and right, and then Parmelee threw him out as he tried to stretch a single into a double. 2-1. Inside, got a foul ball, 2-2. Four hits for the Rangers, 3 of them in the second inning when Worley was out there for, what was it, 37 pitches, something like that?
Yes, it was.
Missed the corner inside to fill the count. And a bouncer foul. Here's his home run last night on a broken bat.
Yeah, let's take a look right here. That fastball. I mean, he got underneath that ball. He's got that uppercut swing. And then realizing, I broke my bat.
And a foul pop into the seats.
Cruz from the Dominican Republic, originally signed by the Mets. Came up to the big leagues with the Brewers. In his 8th season with the Rangers.
And a high fastball. Worley issuing his second walk of the ball game. So man at first, 1 out, and here's David Murphy, who drew the first walk issued by Worley. Very high and away, ball 1.
Yeah, Joe's going to go out and try to settle Worley down, get him back in the strike zone.
He seems to be an emotional guy out there and shows his frustration.
Well, you know, Tim Laudner was talking about it in the pregame about, you know, we kind of, our hit was basically showing Worley trying to open up those hips to keep the ball down in the strike zone. Sometimes when you lock your hips up, it's hard to get your arm to follow through and keep that ball down. So a little inconsistent. You can see right there, just not really coming through and letting his arm work out front. Just leaving a lot of pitches up. And you leave too many up to a good hitting, powerful ball club like the Rangers, you're asking for trouble. He's he steps across his body a little bit anyway, and then if you are not able to fly that hip open, everything's going to stay. Now this is a stretch position.
3-0 to Murphy. There's a strike.
See, even that pitch right there is about belt high.
A little get me over fastball at 86 miles per hour.
Six 3-ball counts for Worley already in this ball game.
This will be his 80th pitch. Runner goes and the ball slapped foul. So now a full count.
Well, Cruz ran on 3-1. You know he's probably going to run right here. Why? Because Worley also not a strikeout pitcher, so they're guessing, Ron Washington, I'm sure, that Murphy's going to make contact here.
And another foul. Every out but two has been on a ground ball. The throw out at second base and the pop up to Dozier. So another reason why you'd send the runner here. If he gets a ground ball, he might stay out of a double play by starting Cruz early. Back from 3-0, it's 3-2. Strikeout.
And throw him out.
And a throw out. So Worley gets a strikeout. Mauer with another throw out. And by innings end, only 3 men come to the plate. Tony Tennille could not make it, but the captain showed up on the left. And that youngster, another one of our Pepsi fans of the game. Brian Dozier will lead off the fourth. Twins don't have a base runner yet against right-hander Nick Tepish to right field. And Cruz puts it in his glove, one away. And before Mauer comes to the plate, you can offer a question online at carsoup.com/baseball. Brooks Thorson from Dickinson, North Dakota, wondering, Bert, if you're pitching today, what strategy would you use to pitch to Joe Mauer?
Oh, that's a good question. Anytime I faced a good hitter like that, I got to face Rod Carew a couple times, Tony Oliva only one time. But you face, guys that are good hitters like him. You can't pitch him a certain way. You have to change it up. You know, a guy that is not afraid, like a Wade Boggs, he'll take those first 2 pitches, and then it's kind of like the battle begins, because now he's going to protect the plate, and he'll probably hit the ball somewhere.
1-1.
Try to get ahead. You know, for me, it would try to get ahead with a fastball, then hook him, and hopefully, you know, he would swing and miss.
2-1.
I don't think I ever went into a ball game and you have to face like Joe Mauer. You're already thinking, well, he's going to go for 4. What you try not to have him do is have him come up with a game on the line where he can beat you.
Guys on base
right
late in the ball game. Three and one. Willingham on deck. Among your contemporaries, who does Mauer remind you of in terms of his hitting style? Not the position played, but just the way he hits. Popped up to left on a 3-1 pitch. 2 down.
You know, Don Mattingly was a guy that hit the ball the other way. He had power, of course, with that short porch in New York. But, you know, Wade Boggs would hit everything up the middle the other way. I don't know if there's one guy that you could say. I didn't face Tony Gwynn a lot, but, you know, I mean, he's that type of hitter. But you keep pitching him away, he's just going to hit it that way.
Be a little something on Tepish's pitches. Twins don't have anything close to a hit. Mauer worked the count to a very favorable hitter's count, 3-1, and he still popped it up. 1 strike to Willingham, fouled out to Moreland his first time up.
Good hitters get themselves out sometimes. You get 3 hits in every 10 at bats, you're a good hitter.
High and deep to center. Martin going back, short of the track. Another 1-2-3 inning. 4 perfect innings for Nick Tepish.
Sports North and the Minnesota Twins as we are celebrating boys and girls clubs across the metro area, specifically the All-Stars of the Boys and Girls Club. And we actually have with us our Twin Cities Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year. Your name is Yer, and she's got her nice Circle Me Bert sign here. So tell me, what do you do at the Boys and Girls Club to help out?
I help kids with their homework and play educational games with them, and, you know, make sure they have a smile on their face.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you for your help. And we've got her little helper here too, Diana, and she's actually going to be the, well, I'm dropping these scratch-offs all over. She's the recipient of our Minnesota Lottery, $100 worth of scratch-off tickets for you. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, thank you so very much. We appreciate it and all your support.
Yes, everyone's having a great time. We've got about 75 All-Stars from the Boys and Girls Club. It's a fantastic cause, and we are proud to be a supporter of that. Dick and Bert?
Well, thank you, Jamie, very much.
And they are hereby circled
One strike to Moreland, and now a called strike on a changeup left up, and it's 0-2. Worley surely wants to get through the 5th inning here and maybe have enough left in reserve pitch count wise to at least start the 6th inning. So he needs to throw strikes here in the 5th. 1-2. Moreland singled his first time up. He'll be followed by Martin.
Yeah, he hit that ball sharply up the middle. That Florimon made a nice play up the middle. The ball that almost hit Worley's back. But Florimon decided to go to second base, and Dozier was a little late covering.
And another strikeout. A breaking pitch gets another swinging strikeout. One away.
Second strikeout for Worley. That's the location you want right there, down in the strike zone.
So one down, and Martin, the batter, hit a pop-up to Dozier. And what turned out to be an awfully big out. The Rangers already had a run on the board. Worley was throwing a lot of pitches. And there were runners at first and second. And 2 away, and Martin had a long at bat. Worley finally got him to pop up, and the Rangers haven't threatened since.
Yeah, other than that second inning where he needed 37 pitches, he's had a 14, a 13, and an 18 pitch inning.
Swung on, fouled back, 1-1. You saw Martin on the first pitch bluff a bunt. We're told that he will do that regularly. Will drop a bunt down just about at least once every game. The Twins have to respect that, with Plouffe playing a step or two in front of the bag at third, and Morneau about even with the bag at first. Taken low, 2-1.
Mentioned his first at bat, Martin from Cuba. He defected in 2010 and then signed with the Twins organization. Excuse me, the Texas organization.
Inside, 3-1.
Pretty good minor league numbers for Martin. A career .323 hitter in 2 seasons in the minor leagues.
Down the middle of strike, and Martin thought it was ball 4. Foul back. We saw Martin foul off some 2-strike pitches his first time up.
Well, when the Mets were in, remember we saw, Miami was in. We saw Jose Fernandez that also defected from Cuba. You know, just some of the things that these guys have to go through to try to get to the United States and play baseball. It's incredible.
Still, to me, one of the best stories goes back to the early 60s when Tony Oliva was on his way back to Cuba until the Bay of Pigs invasion. And that was a liner out of Florimon's reach, and a base hit for Martin. If not for the Bay of Pigs invasion, Tony Oliva would have been sent back to Cuba. We never would have seen what he could become as a big league hitter. A 1-out single for Martin will bring Kinsler to the plate.
Well, good hitting right there by Martin, and Florimon leaping as high as he can and just over his glove. 5th hit for the Rangers.
Kinsler with a base hit his last time up. Think of the Rangers, you think of their power, but you need also think of their speed. They've got some guys who can run. Martin among them. Ron Washington, that was kind of his game, speed game, small ball. When he was a player and a coach with the A's.
Martin has not attempted a stolen base yet this year, but over the last couple of years, up and down with the Rangers, he has 3 major league stolen bases in 3 attempts. It's a pretty good lead.
Twins have only allowed 3 stolen bases now in 8 tries. fewest in baseball. Pitches up high, ball one.
Well, the Rangers have, he's coaching third now. He's always at first base, but Gary Pettis is their base stealing coach. He used to be at first base, but they switched. Dave Anderson now at first base.
And they pitch out, 2-0. Fly ball hit right at Aaron Hicks. No, he's got to come in. Makes a running catch. Like Hicks, I thought that ball was going to carry out to medium deep center field, but he, unlike me, had the speed to make up for the mistake.
I remember talking to outfielders about this ball right here. When that ball is hit, they have to freeze for a second to make exactly sure where that ball is going, because sometimes, you take that big swing and you have to wait for really to see, okay, where's the flight of that ball going to go? Is it going to go over my head? Is it going to come in? And he had to come in hard for that.
2 down. Elvis Andrus, the batter. And a pitch called a ball.
Well, watch Hicks right here. He took his eye off the ball, but his glove was open, seeing where the runner was.
1-0 to Andrus. A couple of ground balls. Reaching a fielder's choices last time up.
During the Twins fantasy camp, we see a lot of the outfielders doing that, taking their eye off the ball. And that's where the emergency vehicles have to come on the field and cart them off.
That's a fair ball down the line. Martin around second. On his way to third. He'll be waved in. Willingham with a throw skipping past Florimon. And Elvis Andrus talked about his extra base power increasing in recent years. And he cracks a double over the third base bag to make it 2-0.
Tough play for Josh Willingham as he has to go down in that corner. You don't know if it's going to ricochet off that short wall down that left field corner or run into the corner. And Willingham, watch him react right here. He's going in. Okay, is it going to hug the wall? He hits right at the corner. By the time Josh could get back to it to throw low, but Martin scores all the way from first base. Second double of the year for Elvis.
Lance Berkman's hit a couple of ground balls to Brian Dozier tonight. Swing and a miss. Yeah, if you're a left fielder, you have to respect the fact that that ball could go all the way into the corner. So you have to angle toward the corner, and then when it hit the wall and jumped out in front of Willingham.
Yeah, hit right at the point, right at the tip of that where that wall sticks out.
1 strike to Berkman. And now a second strike called. Fouled back. Well, one thing that's happened with the hits and at least one run here in the fifth. Now Worley's pitch count is over 100. That means he probably will be done here. In fact, Josh Rennicke's warming up as we speak. And a strikeout ends the inning. And it may have ended Vance Worley's night here as well.
Well, welcome back. The Twins down a couple to the Texas Rangers. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins.
Justin Morneau beats the shift, and as he did in the 7th inning against Matt Harvey, he broke up a no-hit bid with a leadoff single here. It was a home run against Harvey in the 7th a week and a half ago.
Yeah, just jumped on that first pitch from Tempest, who had been pitching very well. 12 up, 12 down. Little breaking ball, and Justin hitting it sharply through the infield into right field for the Twins' first hit.
Parmalee will hit, and for the first time tonight, Tempest will have to pitch from the stretch. And Parmalee jumps on the first pitch, or tried to anyway, fouled it back, 1 strike.
Tempest last year actually was part of a no-hitter down in Single A. He had worked the first 7 1/3 innings, and then a reliever came in and ended up pitching a no-hitter. Left-hander Jimmy Reyes came in, pitched the first ever no-hitter in team history at Willingham when he pitched for Myrtle Beach.
Parmalee takes a fastball, strike 2. No one gave him much of a chance to make the major league club in spring training. He was thought to be headed at best to AAA to start the year. Parmalee fouls it back, but some injury situations from guys the Rangers were expecting to win the number 5 starter spot. Some ineffectiveness from some other candidates. And Tempest, they said, just looked like a 8-10 year veteran in spring training. Didn't seem the least bit overwhelmed. And so he was named the number 5 starter. 2 strikes to Chris Parmalee. And a bouncer to first. Out there, and there will not be a throw to second. So Parmalee grounding to Moreland for the 2nd time, and Morneau advances to second. That'll bring up Plouffe. Plouffe fouled out to Moreland on the first pitch he saw in the 2nd inning.
We've been seeing that a lot from Trevor, jumping on that first pitch and popping it up.
Just getting their first hit. They'll need another one here from Plouffe or Arcia to get the first run of the game. And a fastball, strike 1. You know, you look at the radar readings. First time you see a pitcher, it's natural to maybe spend more time looking at that than you should. You just want to see how hard he throws. I don't think we've seen 90 miles per hour yet, have we? Fouled away, 2 strikes.
Yeah, you know me, the playerprofile.com that I look at, they said, you know, he throws between 87 and 94. I haven't seen the 92, 93, 94 yet.
2 quick strikes to Plouffe.
Well, that gun sometimes is overrated.
Plouffe drives it into the corner, but it'll twist foul.
Unless you're Nolan Ryan or Randy Johnson that can get that fastball up in the upper 90s, you know, low 200s, then you have to hit your spots. The average major league pitcher, I would have to say, he throws between 88 and 92 miles an hour in that range. It's what you do with what you have. You have to hit your spots, hopefully, you know, leave the ball down in the strike zone, move it in and out. There's a good fastball in that got in on Plouffe.
But at 89 miles per hour, we're talking about Matt Harvey. How he took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. That guy, I mean, he's got a great arm, 95, 96 miles per hour. And Tempest doesn't have nearly that kind of a power arm. But if you can locate what you've got, right, 89 can be enough.
Oh, we can go off because this is only his 4th major league starter. Some of his college numbers that we get, you know, information from, but also the minor leagues. Good control in the minor leagues.
Tap to third. Nowhere for Morneau to go. Beltre slings it across, 2 away. So now Arcia will hit with Morneau at second and 2 away. We were told that this guy is a ground ball pitcher, but through the first 4 innings, most of his outs came on fly balls. And now here in the 5th inning, a couple of ground ball outs. And Morneau's hit was hit on the ground.
Well, I can attest to that. You know, I was a fly ball pitcher, but I had games actually they hit the ball on the ground sometimes. And I didn't know why.
I don't remember those.
No, I just remember a couple of them.
Arcia takes a strike. This young man is in the lineup on a daily basis. The Twins want to get a real good look at him during the regular season. Something they did not get the chance to do in spring training. The intent was to get Arcia out there on a regular basis in spring training, see how he fared against big league pitching, but he pulled an oblique muscle early in camp, and that shut him down for 3-4 weeks.
Last year between Single-A and Double-A, 17 home runs. He drove in 98 runs and hit .320.
Foul back, 1-2.
Again, that's, you know, Hicks had a good year at Double-A last year. It's a little different hitting up here than it is in the minor leagues. It's a giant step. The Twins want to find out if he can make that giant step.
Tremendous power. Popped up short left field. And Beltre makes a foul ball catch to end the inning. Twins get ahead, leave Morneau at second. It's still 2-0. The action. Just kidding.
This is the end of the first inning as Moreland had to reach over into the camera well to make a nice catch off the bat of Josh Willingham.
And you could see there the difference between Major League ballpark and a spring training ballpark. Moreland put his hand on the gate with Josh Reneke getting ready to come into the ballgame. Remember in spring training, David Freese of the Cardinals did the same thing in the spring training field. The gate swung open. Freese actually missed some time, and there was some doubt he'd be ready at the start of the year because he got hurt.
Well, Josh Reneke coming into the ballgame, making his 7th relief appearance. He last worked in Chicago. He worked 1 inning in the Twins' 5-3 win. He gave up a run, a solo home run to Adam Dunn.
Adrian Beltre leads things off, takes an off-speed pitch over for strike 1.
Yeah, Worley, you know what? He struggled through 5 innings, through 102 pitches, but still, I mean, pretty good hitting ball club. You only give them a couple runs. Twins are in this game.
6 hits allowed, 2 runs. Check swing. Beltre pointed to first base umpire Ted Barrett saying, "Hey, ask him." Maybe he thinks I didn't go. Not often you'll see a hitter ask for an appeal from a base ump. 2 strikes. No. Ask him. You may have thought I went around, but Ted Barrett might not. 1-2. I tell you what, I've really grown to appreciate over the last 4 or 5 years what a great player Adrian Beltre is. Sharply hit. Oh, what a nice pickup by Dozier, and he throws him out. Oh, wicked one-hop smash, and Dozier turns it into an out.
Well, Beltre gave it. He hit that ball sharply, and the ball came up on Dozier, but he stayed with it. We have seen Brian Dozier make some nice plays at second base. And here's another one. Beltre hitting it sharply at short hop. Boy, is that a nasty play to try to catch. But Dozier able to do it.
1 down. Pierzynski at the plate, 0 for 2. And ball 1. Fouled away a strike. Think back 11 years to that team of misfit toys that the Twins put on the field. A defiant group that won a division title in 2002. So many diverse personalities. And of that group, Torrey Hunter still playing. LaTroy Hawkins still pitching. A.J. Pierzynski still catching.
And Doug Minkiewicz doing a great job in Single A Fort Myers as a manager.
Got a couple of 400 hitters in his lineup.
Hey, you're only as good as your players. Come on.
Rosario and Sano are just tearing the cover off the ball down there. And Pierzynski serves one into center field. A 1-out single.
Boy, A.J. really stayed back nicely on that right there. Breaking ball left up, lined it right into center.
The Vikings have 2 picks in the first round of tonight's NFL draft. And to find out what they're going to do with them, go to foxsportsnorth.com as soon as the team makes its choices for up-to-the-minute news and analysis from Vikings beat writer Brian Hall. Tell you what, Casey Blake was just a fringe player with the Twins in 2002. He was playing 2 years ago. Michael Kadire had 112 at bats, and he's starting for the Rockies.
Having a very solid year. Good start for Kadire.
Today's Jock Jones' birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday to Jock Jones.
Yes, happy birthday, Jock.
Denny Hocking, Matthew Lecroy are minor league managers. Tom Prince is a minor league manager. 2-0 to Nelson Cruz. Under the glove of Florimon and into left field. Pierzynski will hold at second.
And that ball was hit hard, but that's a ball that has to be maybe turned into a double play right there. Cruz hitting it sharply. It scoots underneath the glove of Florimon.
Some well hit balls here in the 6th inning against Renicky.
Well, Florimon going to his right, and you can see that kind of got locked up a little bit right there. That to me, at this level, that has to be turned into a double play. Instead, it's a base hit. Cruz gets his 2nd hit.
Here's Murphy, a walk and a strikeout so far. Beltre's ground out was smoked to the backhand side of Dozier. Now a couple of hits and a pitch down and away, ball 1. 1-1.
Breaking ball clipping the corner. Renicky, 30 years old, claimed off waivers from the Rockies by the Twins over the winter. A solid year last year out of their bullpen.
Two and one. Twins have a very good bullpen, but in this series, in this 4-game series, they're matched up against a team that might have one of the best bullpens in the American League, Texas Rangers. Fouled back, 2-2.
I tell you what, they come in both. I mean, like you mentioned, Rangers bullpen combined 5-1, 2.23 ERA. And then you look at the Twins, they're 4-1 out of their bullpen with a 2.52 earned run average. So both bullpens. You don't want them to get into the ball game too early, but here, Renicky out here in the 6th inning.
Full count now, 1 out, 2 on. Mitch Moreland on deck. Now the Ranger bullpen figures to get fortified later this year. Joaquin Soria and Neftali Feliz will be valued arms added to the bullpen when healthy. And ball 4 fills them up.
And not even close right there. Renicky walks his batter.
Twins tickets for the 2013 season remain affordable and available. Special deals await for every day of the week. You can check out the deal that works best for you and your budget. Visit twinsbaseball.com/tickets or call 800-33-TWINS and get yours today.
Quick trip to the mound by pitching coach Rick Anderson.
Let's get Mitch Moreland to hit the ball on the ground to Dozier. We'll get a double play and we'll get inside this nice warm dugout I'm returning to.
Moreland, one of the slower runners in the lineup, so if they can get him to maybe turn over on a little ground ball right here, maybe turn a double play.
Twins started the day a half game behind the Royals, who won in extra innings at Comerica Park today. One game above the 500 mark. Down a couple of runs here midway through the game. There's strike one. Moreland singled in the 2nd and struck out in the 5th. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
2 good pitches. Down in the strike zone. Pretty good numbers for Moreland this year with bases loaded.
Wide, 1-2. Worley got 3 strikeouts. Renicky could sure use one here. And that fastball on the outside corner again.
Yeah, Renicky's picked up 6 strikeouts in 9 innings pitched.
Casey Fiend warming up. Got the strikeout. Got Moreland to chase. 2 away.
Second time Moreland has struck out. Chasing that high fastball, so good job by Rick Anderson so far. 2 outs. Bases remain loaded.
And this is a Texas team that, despite the great lineup that they've got and the power they have in the lineup, they're last in the league in striking out. The fewest strikeouts in the American League. Here's Leonys Martin. Down low, ball one. Rangers haven't lost a series. 5 series wins, 2 series ties. Just outside, 2-0. Renicky trying to work that outside corner like he did in the Moreland at bat. Now he's got to come in on a 2-0 pitch.
Yeah, Martin at his last at bat on a pitch from Worley, fastball away, just lined it just over the glove of Florimone in the left field for a base hit.
Popped up.
Stay in here.
Kloof with the catch about 15 feet from home plate. And the Rangers leave the bases full in the 6th. Is presented by McDonald's. Try the new premium McWrap at McDonald's today. I'm loving it. And by Toyota. Let's go places. To find your nearest Toyota dealer and check out our current offers, visit buyatoyota.com. 2-0 Rangers going to the bottom of the 6th inning. Go behind the scenes to see how Minnesota Vikings cheerleaders compete for making this year's team. Don't miss the final episode of the 3-part series. Minnesota Vikings cheerleaders making the team tomorrow at 10:30. Only on Fox Sports North. Aaron Hicks leading off the 6th, and he takes strike 1 from Nick Tepish, who has given up 1 base runner.
Tell you what, he's done a good job of getting ahead in the count. 14 of 17 batters he's faced, strike 1.
Changeup missing, 1-1. Look at the pitch count. 63 pitches. A couple of pitches into his 6th inning. And Hicks rolls a base hit to right. All the hits have been singles, and all of them have been hit right there.
Well, good at bat right there by Hicks. Got a fastball, and this is what the Twins want to see. They've really been working hard with Hicks to. I remember earlier in the season, Dick, that ball right there, he probably would have fouled off, but just making better contact. He's drawing some walks, able to get on base, steal some bases. He's scored some runs over the last 6 games.
Florimone, the batter. Twins with their 2nd leadoff hit against Tepish. And there's a strike on the outside corner. Florimone fouled out to Murphy his first time up. After Morneau singled to start the 5th, the Twins were only able to get him to second base.
Down here, you're right.
Hicks at first base. He's stolen 2 bases in 3 attempts. Twins so far on the year, they have 6 stolen bases. They've been caught 5 times. Everybody has that stopwatch. How quick is Tepes home? Let it throw over to first. AJ, of course, his history. He's had a tough time throwing out potential base stealers.
And Florimon gets jammed and a little pop-up to Beltre. 1 down. And that takes us back to the top of the order of Brian Dozier. Almost looked like a slider or a cutter that got in on the handle of his bat. Dozier 0 for 2, called out on strikes, and then he had a fly ball to right. More and more, it seems to me, pitchers are getting a chance promoted from Double-A. Now, technically, Tepish didn't do that because he made a start at Triple-A to start his season, but that was by design just to keep him on the rhythm so he could make a start in the big leagues. And on that front, there's some encouragement for Twins fans. Kyle Gibson, talked to Terry Ryan before the game today. He's 100% at AAA, and all his pitches are there. His arm strength is there. It just seems like a matter of time before he'll make his way up here. 1-0 to Dozier. But Trevor May and Alex Meyer are both doing very well at Double-A New Britain for the Twins. Those are the 2 new pitching prospects brought in the trades of Denard Span and Ben Revere. One and 0. And a little number towards short. Elvis Andrus to Kinsler. Double play. What a great turn of a double play. Andrus to Kinsler, and Moreland digs it out at first. It's 2-0 Texas.
Both of them coming off Van Swarley. It was Nelson Cruz that knocked in the first run, and then Andrus with a double down that left field corner scored Martin in the 5th inning. Nick Tepish has been outstanding, and they've given 2 hits to the Twins. And Renicky last inning worked out of that bases loaded 1-out situation to keep the score at 2-0.
Kinsler will lead off the 7th inning, and he takes strike 1 from Renicky. On 2. Worley can't pick up his first Twins win here tonight.
See if the Twins come back and at least give him a no decision. He battled through 5 innings. Renicky starting his second inning in relief.
1-2. Breaking ball left up, and Kinsler goes with it, singling to right to start the 7th inning.
Kinsler picking up his second hit of the ball game. And the 9th for the Rangers.
Couple of doubles, a bunch of singles. Here's Elvis Andrus, who has an RBI double his last time up. Rangers have Andrus and Kinsler, their middle infielders, signed long term. But eventually Kinsler may be moved to make room for somebody I think you had on your WBC team. Is that right? Jurickson Profar?
Profar, yeah. He's a good-looking player. He's from Curacao. Joined us after the Major League players could join us on the 25th. Had a good WBC. Very athletic. Middle infielder.
Brian Dunsing warming up in the Twins pen. 1 strike to Andrus.
Keep an eye on Kinsler. 2 stolen bases in 3 attempts, but over his career, very, very good numbers. He has 159 stolen bases, been caught only 32 times.
Firing to second, got the force there, and the ball dropped as the shortstop Florimon was trying to get the ball out of his glove. So
Alfonso Marquez, the second base umpire, made the right call. The force out at second base. Andrus bunting the ball too hard. Watch the exchange right there. That's where he lost the ball. He's out, and then in the exchange, drops the ball.
So a sacrifice attempt does not work. Andrus at first on a fielder's choice. Here's Lance Berkman. I like to see that. I like to see a pitcher with an opportunity to get the lead runner take a shot at it instead of conceding the sacrifice.
Well, that comes from the catcher right there, because Joe Mauer had to be yelling right there, second base, second base.
And Andrus gets back.
Because your back is to the play. Of course, you don't know what kind of jump that Kinsler, he may have been taking off with the bunt. So you have to rely on Joe Mauer coming out and basically screaming at you where to throw the ball.
You're already down 2-0, and you haven't done much offensively. That third run, if the Rangers were to get it, would loom very large.
And I think that's why Ron Washington had Andrus bunting right there.
Right. 1-0 now to Berkman.
Who's that?
Talk about Berkman's eye and the reputation he has earned over the years. There's a pop-up to left center field. Hicks with the call and the catch out number 2. Berkman got that crippling double in the playoffs against the Twins on a pitch after it looked like Carl Pavano had struck him out with a fastball at the knees. Berkman had a big 2-run double, and for all intents and purposes, that was the end of the Twins' playoff round with the Yankees. 2 down, and here is Beltre. Beltre with a double, a run scored, and then he hit a rocket to the backhand side of Dozier, who very softly gloved it and threw him out. Strike 1. think it's fair to say at this point, through less than 20 games, granted, the Twins were hoping for the middle infielders to make the routine play, something that hadn't been done here. Runner goes, and a pitch hit to center. Aaron Hicks with the catch. It's a scoreless 7th. Heart of the order, 2 up. We'll see if the Twins can get something done after the 7th inning stretch.
Nice job by the boys and girls from the Boys and Girls Club. I want to congratulate the Minnesota Twins for getting involved in the Boys and Girls Club.
And Fox Sports North, that's kind of a pet charity of theirs. We talked going to the commercial break about the heart of the order, and only in the Twins world, I guess, does the heart of the order begin with the number 2 hitter, with a Mauer standing in. 0 for 2, a couple of fly balls to left, and now quickly 0 and 2 from Tepish, who has only thrown 70 pitches here tonight, Bert.
Yeah, unbelievable. He's had some great innings. A couple 8-pitch innings last in the 6th inning. Needed only 7 pitches to get out of the 6th, thanks to the nice turn of a double play off the bat of Brian Dozier.
Inside, 1 and 2. As mentioned, the Rangers have a very good pitching staff, but the Twins won't face their ace, Yu Darvish. They will probably face Justin Verlander in Detroit, although Verlander left the game today with cracked skin on his right thumb.
Yeah, right around the nail area, and Jim Leland said that it will not affect his next start. You know, it's been so cold and dry, and that's one thing. You know, Verlander, I'd sat down with him last year, I know, talking about the different grips. He doesn't use, well, fouled off right there, the seams that much. So, you know, maybe just the cold weather, how it cracks your hands.
2 and 2.
As you mentioned, Darvish off to a great start. 4-1, 1.65 ERA in 5 starts.
Or another foul. You watch Darvish, and the center field camera is what our viewers get most of the time as a pitch is delivered. And that, of course, can be very deceiving. But it just looks like in Darvish's case, there's so much late movement from the center field camera. Bouncer to second, easy play for Kinsler. He gathers it in, one away. One gone in the 7th. Let's check in with Jamie Hirsch.
Thanks, guys. I'm out here in left field because, once again, Fox Sports North is proud to sponsor the Boys and Girls Club. And one other very generous donor and sponsor throughout the years is Teresa Pfister. She joins me right now. You know, for the viewers at home who may not know all that much about the Boys and Girls Club and all the good work they do, can you tell us a little more?
It's a place that believes in kids, and if you believe in our future, you have to believe in our kids and support our kids, and that's why I support Boys and Girls Club. I was lucky to grow up in a safe and secure environment with a good school and had a stable home. Not everyone does, and the Boys and Girls Club steps up to the plate and fills in that gap. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization, and you just look at the kids that surround us, and you know.
Absolutely. Now, tonight we're specifically recognizing the 75 All-Stars from the Boys and Girls Clubs around the Twin Cities.
Willingham with his second home run of the year. Third home run of the year. And it's 2-1.
Ball left middle in, and Josh opened up nicely and hits the home run. It's a 2-1 ball game.
Willingham actually got the barrel of the bat on his fly ball to deep center in the 4th. And a screaming line drive over the wall and left, and it's a 2-1 ball game. Here's Morneau. And he fouls it off a leg, 1 strike.
For the Twins, their 11th home run of the year. And for Willingham, his 3rd.
Fouled back, 2 strikes. Morneau got the first hit for the Twins, leading off the 5th with a ground ball single to right. Hit it through the shift, which the Rangers are employing again here in the 7th. Ouch. Second time he's hit that front leg with a foul ball. Tempish's second big league home run allowed. Breaking ball down and in, 1-2.
They went back to the same pitch, down and in, and that Justin laid off of that one.
Almost up the line, foul. Robbie Ross had a great rookie year last year, and look at his numbers so far this year. He's warming up. Rangers have 3 left-handed relievers. 1-2. Just off the outside corner, 2-2.
Tepish has not walked anybody in this ball game. Only 3 hits allowed.
Another foul. And he walked 3 of the first 8 batters he faced in the big leagues. Hasn't walked anybody since. Hit right at the shortstop Andrus. And that's out number 2. Here's what happened with Willingham at the plate a moment ago.
Yeah, that fastball stayed middle in, and Josh dropping the barrel. A line drive home run. Josh had 35 home runs last year, 21 here at Target Field.
That made it a 2-1 ball game, and now Parmalee, who's hit 2 ground balls to Moreland. Off-speed pitch over for a strike. Stroke to right under the glove of Kinsler. Parmalee has a hit, and that'll get Plouffe to the plate. And it'll get Mike Maddox to the mound. MLB.com at bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Twins baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, a lot more. Text at Bat to 31826 or visit twinsbaseball.com for details.
Tepish right now at 88 pitches as Mike Maddox comes out to talk to his right hand. Remember his last start, he only faced 7 batters before he got hit on the wrist. So I think they're going to watch his pitch count a little bit. His first 2 major league starts, 104 and 102 pitches in a ball game.
Plouffe 0 for 2, a pop-up, a foul pop to Moreland, and then a ground ball to Beltran. Strike on the outside corner. Now, if it were Arcia hitting now, it might have been Ron Washington making a trip to the mound to take Tepish out. And if Plouffe can extend the inning, we might see that happen after this at bat. Some managers, in fact, I'd venture to say most managers at this point of the game, want to make sure that a young pitcher who's done a great job can't lose the ball game. The fact is, Plouffe is here at the plate now representing the go-ahead run. Lace to left, and we'll find out here in a moment. Parmalee to second, that's it. And we'll see if the Rangers make a move with the left-hand batter, Arcia, coming up with 2 men on.
Yeah, he's left a couple breaking balls up here. That fastball to Willingham, and then Parmalee got a breaking ball. He lined in the right. And right there, as Ron Washington does make his trip out to the mound, calling in Ross.
Came into the inning with just 2 hits allowed. The Twins touch him for a home run and a pair of singles. Pretty impressive outing for Nick Tepish. He's their number 5 starter. And he's got a chance, if the bullpen can pick him up, he's got a chance at his 2nd major league win.
Of Boys and Girls Club All-Stars here. We were just talking about it when Hammer hit the home run, so we're sparking something else, hoping we can continue that rally going on with this interview here. Teresa Pfister joining me once again. We were talking about this All-Stars program that they have. Tell us more about that and how that helps to really motivate the kids.
The kids are rewarded for achieving in academics and sportsmanship and being a good citizen and just being a generally good kid. And this is how they get rewarded.
A fantastic time, everyone going crazy. I think they want to see another home run, so Dick and Bert, let's see if the Twins can give it to them.
Ryan Doman will be the pinch hitter against Robbie Ross. Pinch hitting for Oswaldo Arcia. The Twins are hoping for the same result they had in Chicago on Saturday when a pitching change was made by Robin Ventura. Doman hit for Arcia, got a big double that led to the game-winning run. Fouled away, 1 strike.
Yeah, Ross making his 9th relief appearance, 9 innings. He's given up 9 hits, 1 run, a walk. 3 walks with 6 strikeouts. Ross in his 2nd season, great year last year, 6-0 out of that bullpen. 2.22 ERA.
Foul ball over the Twins dugout. Quickly Ross gets ahead of Doman. Doman got a hit against Ross last year. Love to get one here. So of course Arcia getting at bats at Doman's expense in the DH spot, but it does allow the switch hitter Doman to be available as a pinch hitter. It worked in Chicago on Saturday. Grounder headed up the middle. Andrus scoops and fires to first. They got him on a close play. Andrus looked like he was going to flip to Kinsler, then decided to try for Doman at first base.
Nice play by Andrus right here. Watch him get that little short hop right here. He thought about flipping it to Kinsler, but because Plouffe was hustling the second base, decided at the last second, thought about it, and then went to first. Good strong throw and a bang play. Doman out.
See, Doman got the toe of his left foot jammed right into the bag.
Yeah.
Pierzynski will lead off the 8th inning now in a 1-run ball game. The Willingham home run has gotten the Twins to within one swing.
Brian Dunsing coming in here to start the 8th inning. Dunsing making his 8th relief appearance.
Josh Renicky gave up 3 hits and a walk, but the bottom line, a couple of scoreless innings. And now Pierzynski, Cruz, and Murphy will hit for the Rangers in the 8th. Outside, ball 1.
I wonder if I could bring a camera.
1 for 3, and the average right at 300. And the fans love it when Pierzynski swings and misses. Again on his backhand side, Dozier throws him out. Another fine play by the Twins second baseman.
I kind of smothered that ball right there. But Dozier knew who was running, so he took a little extra time to get up and make a strong throw over to Justin. This time having to go to his right, and a little short hop right there. Has plenty of time to get the first out.
Saying a couple innings ago that I think the Twins going into the season wanted the routine plays to be made. There's a pop-up to right center field. And Parmalee's under it. And at least on the right side of the infield, they've gotten that and the sensational plays from Brian Dozier to boot.
Yeah, he's adjusted well. I mean, normally a shortstop, went to spring training, and he's done a great job working extra to become the second baseman he is now.
2 down quickly here in the 8th, and that'll bring up David Murphy. Strike on the outside corner.
Good hard slider by Brian Dunsing.
One and one. And Dunsing burns the outside corner.
Good fastball right there. Great location.
1 and 2. With all the weather issues the Twins have dealt with and the scheduled off days, the bullpen rested. The concern is that they might also be rusted with too much.
Not when you make pitches like that. No rust in Brian Dunsing.
Dunsing has maybe his best inning of the year, and the Twins are off the field in a hurry in the 8th.
For our Twins Live postgame show presented by CenturyLink, we'll be talking about Adrian Beltre's veteran presence for this Rangers team. We'll also talk a little more about the Kids in the City event that's been going on all night here at Target Field. And of course, hear from manager Ron Gardenhire. All that and more on Twins Live. Guys?
Thank you, Jamie. Twins down a run. And Aaron Hicks will lead things off for the Twins in the 8th against Tanner Scheppers.
Yeah, Scheppers had been outstanding. 10 2/3 innings. He's given up 8 hits, but no runs, with 3 walks and 7 strikeouts.
Hicks on the first pitch pops it up into foul ground. Beltre with the catch, and Hicks is gone quickly. 1 down. And that'll bring up pinch hitter Wilkin Ramirez, who will hit for Florimo. Ramirez, just a handful of at-bats, 13 of them, 4 hits, a double, 3 singles. The Twins have now 7 pinch hitting appearances, counting Domans in the 7th inning, and Ramirez has had 4 of them. Counting this pinch hitting appearance, 8 for the team, 5 for Ramirez. Takes up high, ball one.
Shepherd's with a very good fastball, mixing a hard slider, occasional curveball, and a changeup in his second season with the Rangers. Number 1 pick by the Rangers in 2009 out of Fresno State.
And down the middle, a strike at 95 again, and it's 1-2. And Shepherd doesn't fool around out there. He's looking in for the sign, ready to go. Breaking ball, left up high, 2-2. Mike Adams filled this role for the Rangers for a year and a half. Filled it well. Ramirez dumps it to short right. Kinsler can't get there. Ramirez has a pinch hit single with 1 out in the 8th.
He fought off a good fastball right there, but strong enough to hit it in the short right field.
Cruz was playing back by the warning track, and he couldn't get there. So now Escobar is going to run for Ramirez.
Kinsler reached out, couldn't get it. Cruz gets it back in.
Escobar will pinch run and assume the shortstop position for the 9th inning. And here's Brian Dozier. Here is the part of the game now. You mentioned it before. Pierzynski's reputation is not good at throwing runners out. And the Twins have some speed, maybe their fastest runner in Escobar at the plate in a possible base stealing situation. And we'll get a real good look at Shepherd and how quick he is to the plate. Escobar thrown out in his only stolen base attempt. Token move. I don't know that I've ever seen a left fielder play as far into the gap for a right-handed batter as David Murphy is for Brian Dozier. Look how far he's playing out there. And I know that Shepherd throws hard, but if Dozier could hook a ball into the corner, he's going to run all night.
If he can hook it into the corner, if he can catch up to that 95, 96 mile an hour fastball.
Beltre guarding the line at third, trying to cut off a ground ball headed down that way.
Well, Martin, the center fielder, also shading toward right center.
We've seen a left fielder play where Murphy's playing for a left-handed batter, but not many right-handed batters. Dozier pops it up into the seats, 1-1. Dozier's hits this year have come to the opposite field. Most of them. One and one.
Well, Dozier still looking for his first double of the year. He has a couple triples. With this double in the right spot, probably would score Escobar from first base.
Up and in, 2-1. Washington hoping his bullpen can get the job done here, but the Twins have the tying run at first, one away. Driven to left.
There you go.
Toward the corner. Escobar around second. On his way to third. Dozier digging for second. He's got his double. And the Twins have the tying run at third. He hit that ball right about where a left fielder would normally be placed.
Well, Shepherd's left that ball up, and Dozier turned on it and hit it toward left field. Take a look at the pitch right here. Fastball, middle in. Dozier opening up quickly and getting his first double of the year. Murphy ended up running it down and keeping Escobar. That ball's down the line. Escobar probably scores, but instead it's a double. Runners at second and third with one out, and Joe Mauer up, and they're going to intentionally walk Joe.
They'll be loaded up for Josh Willingham. So Mauer, hitless in the ball game so far, is intentionally walked here. Willingham responsible for the only run scored for the Twins so far. His solo home run in the 7th made it a 2-1 ball game, and he has a chance here again in the 8th to change the scoreboard.
Well, Tepish went with a fastball inside in the 7th inning, and Josh, a line drive home run, his third of the year. That made it a 2-1 ball game. Mike Maddox out to talk to his right-hander, and A.J. Brzezinski.
Willingham tied for the team lead with walks, or in walks, with 11. And also now with 3 home runs, the team lead in that department. The Silver Slugger in the American League for left fielders last year. Infield playing back, hoping for a ground ball. And they get one foul between Joe Favre and the line. 1 strike.
Willingham with 5 grand slams in his career, the last coming in New York against the Mets back on April 11th, 2010.
One strike to Willingham. Swing and a miss. 0-2.
Looked like a nasty sinker there.
Behind Willingham is Morneau. Two strikes to Willingham. 1-2. His home run in the 7th, driving in his 10th run of the year. Hooked foul behind Joe Favre.
Yeah, get out of my kitchen. That's what Josh said right there.
Led the team in runs batted in last year. The right man in the right spot, the Twins hope, here in the 8th inning. Whoa! 2-2. Moore, the bench coach for Ron Washington again this year, standing next to Washington in the Texas dugout. 2-2. Full count with the bases full. Mentioned that Willingham and Hicks each with 11 walks on the year. Shepard's 10 2/3 innings. You saw the numbers, just 3 walks coming into his appearance here tonight.
Most of the crowd here on their feet.
Bounce towards the hole. Andrus to Kinsler, a double play. A big threat for the Twins, but Sheppers gets a huge double play, started by Andrus in the hole. Stay tuned for the Gander Mountain weekend weather update for Twins territory. Willingham might be thinking more about his 8th inning at bat than the 7th inning at bat right
I'll tell you, that's a nasty pitch right there. Looked like a sinker down. John, that's a pitch that you'd like to get underneath, at least hit a fly ball, but nice turn of a double play by the Rangers. Their second double play turned in the ballgame.
From deep in the hole, Andrus had to go by the outfield grass there to make that retrieve of the ground ball and start a double play. Here's Mitch Moreland against Brian Dunsing. Moreland, Martine, and Kinsler here in the Ranger 9th inning. Strike one.
Dunsing had a very good 8th inning, a 1-2-3 inning. On 7 pitches, he retired the Rangers in order.
Popped up toward Dozier. One down.
Take a look at a pitch by pitch to Josh Willingham. See the fastball that he fouled off, and then a good sinker down. And then he missed a couple times. Josh fouled off there. That's why I said, get out of my kitchen. Then a couple fastballs up and in. And now on a 3-2 pitch, right back with a fastball out over the plate. Josh trying to pull that ball, ends up hitting into the double play.
Wow. You look at those pitches with Martine, the batter, and it was a full count. Beg your pardon, it's Gentry, the pinch hitter for Martine. But that last pitch was the most hittable pitch of the bunch, and he just got Willingham to beat it into the ground. The only strike that was elevated. 2 strikes to Gentry.
Gentry 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter this year for Ron Washington in his 5th season with the Rangers.
Ooh, ouch.
Gentry, one of the guys they feel with the other guys that have the offensive potential that they could play him in center field. I know Martine started, but this guy, when he gets on base, he can make things happen. Very good speed, Covers a lot of ground at center field.
Twins have Scott Diamond starting tomorrow, and Gentry will start against the left-handed starter. Pitch is low, 2-2. Twins bullpen, a few hits allowed, but again, the bullpen has shut the door here since the 5th inning, keeping this a winnable game. Florimon to his left. Escobar, rather, comes up firing. What a play by Escobar! My goodness, he went a long way to his left, spun and fired a rocket to Morneau.
You know, we showed you earlier, both shortstops, when they get into the ball game, they're contributing offensively, but also defensively. Very nice play by Escobar. He pinch ran for Ramirez, who pinched hit for Florimon last inning.
Right-handed batter Kinsler due up next, and Ron Gardenhire to the mound. And he'll bring Casey Fien in. Dunsing did a nice job.
Yes,
5 up, 5 down.
Good job by Brian Dunsing.
The Rangers getting the first 2 runs, Twins getting one back. Big threat in the 8th, slipped through their fingers. And now Casey Fien trying to take this game to the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah, Casey Fien making his 9th appearance. He last worked in that Saturday 2-1 extra inning ball game, and he ended up getting the win in that ball game. Twins won that game 2-1 in 10 innings. See if he can get this final out, maybe get him another win. Joe Nathan starting to loosen up.
He's our Century link to what's next. The Texas closer. 6 for 6 this year, including his 300th major league save. Up high to Kinsler, ball 1. And a strike.
Breaking ball right there. Fien with a fastball. Got some movement on that fastball. That last pitch, the slider. Kinsler with a couple hits in a ball game, both singles.
Driven to the left field corner. Willingham will chase hard off the wall. Playing to Karam. Kinsler to second. Willingham's throw. Safe, a double with 2 outs in the 9th.
Kinsler hitting that ball sharply, and Willingham making it a nice throw to second base. Dozier did the right thing. He followed the tag and then stayed with him. He kept the glove on Kinsler. This ball hit sharply. Willingham has to play to Karam off the wall. Let's see if we have an eye right here on Dozier. Watch Dozier tag him and then stay with him. We're hoping that Kinsler's hand might come off the bag, but it did not.
Just Follow the lead of Ken Herbig. Just take the glove and lift the guy off the base. Here's Andrus. Popped up. And Morneau calls for it and makes the catch. Speaking of Morneau, he'll lead off the bottom of the ninth with the Twins down a run. Inflicted. Struck him out. Got him. Breaking ball got him. How about the Twins bullpen? Finishes are earned and celebrated. A high drive. Deep left center field. Gone. And the Twins win it. It's the last word. The closing act. The final step. The whole point. We don't remember the start. We never forget the finish. A high fly to center field. This to the wall and lands on the warning track. Carroll scores. Dozier being waved around. And the Twins win it on a double by Eduardo Escobar. Some ninth inning magic earlier this year. The Twins will try to pull some off again here in the ninth, starting with Justin Morneau facing Joe Nathan. Strike on the outside corner.
Well, as you mentioned, Joe Nathan has been perfect out of that bullpen. 6 saves and 6 save opportunities. 8 strikeouts in 7 1/3 innings pitched, just 1 walk.
One and one to Morneau. At the first Twins hit leading off the 5th inning. 2-1. Maybe the novelty is worn off, but still a special at bat here with Gentry in center. Guys who are teammates, of course, cornerstone players for some division championship ball clubs. Pop foul, out of play, 2-2. Morneau, Parmalee, and Plouffe. Doman would hit 4th this inning. Nathan, the all-time saves leader for the Twins in his 2nd year with the Texas Rangers.
They saved 37 games last year for the Rangers.
2-2. Breaking ball, and Morneau across the letters with a swing and a foul back. At the knees, and Morneau knew it. 1 down.
I think Justin missed a couple pitches right there. That fastball and then the curveball that he just fouled off. Joe Nathan comes back with a fastball right over the plate that Justin took for strike 3.
One down, and now Parmalee. Parmalee trying to single to right his last time up. Breaking ball over, strike 1. Strike 2, another curve. Slower pitch over the inside corner.
And we saw Joe so many times have that slider for strike 1, and that's the curveball. Little bigger break for the curveball, along with that good fastball. There's a fastball.
Right at the shortstop, Andrus. 2 down, in the game in the hands of Trevor Plouffe. Now an updated look at the totals to our AT&T Twitter poll. We're asking you who will lead the Twins in runs batted in this year. So far, Josh Willingham, who has the only RBI so far tonight, leading the voting. We'll continue on through the weekend and announce the leader on Sunday. Plouffe singled his last time up. Hooked the ball into left field. To center. Gentry scooped it.
Yep.
And Plouffe is aboard with a base hit, and Doman will have a second opportunity.
Yeah, Gentry came running in. You could see it from here that he trapped that ball. Alfonso Marquez, the second base umpire, went out there to watch it. Watch this little trap right there.
And he made a dive for it. He might have been in position to.
Yeah, but you don't want to take that out. You want to make sure that ball stays in front of you. He tries to dive for that ball right there. It might get by him. And then, you know, maybe a tying run at second base.
Here's Doman. Came up with the tying run at second. Go ahead run at first in a pinch hitting appearance. And Andrus threw him out on a ground ball behind the second base bag. Carroll, the pinch runner at first. And a number up the line, and it'll spin foul. Just crossing the line, Nathan picked it up.
And you're hoping that ball would stay on the grass, but with that rotation of that spin, you could see it was going to roll foul as soon as it got into the dirt area.
Doman has faced Nathan 3 times in his last 2 matchups, a single and a double. So he's 2 for 3 against Joe Nathan. And Doman still looking for his first home run of the year. Carroll back to the bag. I wonder how many times the team has pinch run a 39-year-old infielder.
Ricky Henderson.
1 strike to Doman.
Carroll diving back. Well, Ricky Henderson was an outfielder, but
still had his speed when he was playing at Carroll's age. Not so much to steal a base, I don't think, but to increase the Twins' chances of scoring on a Doman double. And a double would be hard to get the way the Ranger outfielders are playing him right now.
there's only one thing to do, hit it over their head.
1-1. Should Doman continue the game, Aaron Hicks would be the next hitter. Doman, the team leader with 6 doubles. High fly to left field and deep. Back is Murphy on the track, makes the catch. And the Rangers, in what turned out to be a pitcher's duel, edge the Twins 2-1.
Boy, I thought Dolman almost had that right there. A little off the end of the bat, but Twins lose a tough ball game to the Texas Rangers. And the Rangers now 15-7 on the year.
Nick Tepesh with his second major league win, and the Twins had a great chance in the 8th inning.